Good evening, Rabbi. Tonight is the YORTZEIT of the Tzaddik Baba SALI. Baba SALI is YORTZEIT. And so we have to speak a little bit about him to remind us who he was, So Maran, I remember Maran Rabbi. He spoke to us one time. He spoke to us one time about Baba SALI, So he told us like this. This is what he told us. He says, in this generation, he said, we had somebody who was a miracle maker, somebody who makes nisim beniflot. He says, just like it used to be in the times of the Talmud and in the times of the Tanakh. In this generation, we had somebody like this, Who was that? Baba SALI. He used to make miracles. This man was Ish Mofet. You understand? So this was something very unusual. People don't believe. Sometimes you tell them the things that he did, and they tell you, what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? No man can do such a thing like this. No such a thing like this. Today in our times, no such thing. No, but there was. That's the whole thing. That's what Mahan was telling us. There was a person like that. So the truth is, there was a very special relationship between Maran, Ravadia, and Baba SALI. Why is that? Because when Maran, there was a time, when he lost his vision, he went blind. There was a time like this, So what happened was that he totally couldn't see nothing. He couldn't read Torah, nothing. Can you imagine Talmid Chacham like this? Gadol Ador, can't read the Torah, can't do nothing. No books, no nothing. So his life is not worth anything like that. Zero. Better to die, than to have a life like that. Can you imagine? So what happened was that when he got sick like this, with the eyesight, he went to Baba SALI, and he told him. He said, "What should I do?" He asked him. He said, Baba SALI was Ish Mofet. So Baba SALI asked him a question. He says, "Tell me," he says, "when you lost your vision, did it happen by itself, or there was some kind of accident or something, or whatever? How did it happen?" So the rabbi told him, he says, it happened by itself. I don't know, nothing happened. There was no accident, there was no nothing. So what he told him? He said, if it happened by itself, he says, just like it left by itself, it'll come back by itself. That's what he told him. Don't go to the doctor, don't go to the emergency room, don't get surgery, eye surgery, laser, nothing. He told him, just wait, it'll come back by itself. Then he went also, to another Chacham, very big Mekubal. He was the biggest Mekubal of our generation, Rav Mordechai Sherabi, He also went to him. And Rav Sherabi told him the same thing like Baba SALI. Same thing. Don't do nothing. It'll come back by itself. That's it, So then what happened was that also Maran, he went to pray in the north, in Sfat. He went to pray at the Kever of Maran Bet Yosef, who he loved very much. He loved his Torah very much. Whatever, so he went to pray over there. So all these things, his vision came back. The Emet came back. Can you imagine? Just like Baba SALI said, So Baba SALI was a very great person. Who can tell you such a thing like this? Don't do nothing. Don't go to the doctor. Everything will be good. Only a person who has told Ruach HaKodesh, can tell you such a thing like this. This is unbelievable. People don't realize, that there are people like this in our generation. Also, there were people like this. When I was in Yechabadat, in the Maran's Kollel over there in Yerushalayim, there was one person, he was a Dayan. His name was Moshe Tzayg, Moshe Tzayg, Dayan. So he talked to me, about something interesting. He says, when we were young, he says, we had problems, with our children or whatever, something with their health, or whatever it was, things like this. He says, we used to go to Chacham Ben Tion Abba Shaul, who was the Rosh Yeshiva Porat Yosef. Big Chacham, one of the Gedolei Ador, right? He said he would tell us exactly what to do, what not to do, everything. He says whatever he told us, it would come true. Also, he was Yish Ruach HaKodesh. He had Ruach HaKodesh, He would tell them, your child has this problem. The doctor said you should do surgery. He would tell them, don't do surgery. No. Just leave it. Don't do nothing. That's what he would tell them. And that's whatever he said would come true. It's incredible, We have people like this in our generation. Can you imagine? So, there's a famous story in the Talmud brought down about Chonia Magel, right? Who was this guy? He was a big tzaddik, in the time of the Talmud. He was in the time of the second Beit Sheni, the second temple era. He was at that time. So what happened was that every time that they would need rain in Eretz Israel, to because there was no rain coming. In Eretz Israel how it is, right? The rain only comes in the summer, that's it. No rain in the winter, not one drop, you don't get nothing. So if it doesn't come in the summer, that means you got a big problem, right? You can't live like that. Today, Baruch Hashem, they built all kinds of ways, to take the water from the ocean, and to sweeten it. there's a chemical process that they have there, all kinds of things. They have already these plants. So today, Baruch Hashem, they found a solution in technology. But that solution isn't 100%, but whatever, it's also very expensive. The water that comes from there, you have to pay a lot of money for that, It's not free. You have to pay, so it costs a lot of money. So the price of the water goes up. Okay, whatever. Anyway, right, the thing is that this guy, Chonia Magel, he was a big tzaddik, known to be a big tzaddik. So if they didn't have water, if they didn't have any rain, they would come to him, the Talmidim, from yeshivot. They would tell him, please, it says the rabbi sent us to tell you, we got to pray for rain, that we should get some rain. There's no rain. We have no parnasah, no nothing, no crops, no nothing to drink. For our animals, the animals are going to die. Everything's going to die. Shem Yilachem. So you know what he would do, right? Chonia Magel. He was a big tzaddik. He would draw like a circle, like this, like a person makes a circle with one of those compass, you make a circle, but in the ground, not on the piece of paper. On the ground, he would make a circle. He would sit there in the circle. He would tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu like this. That's what it says in the Masechet Tanit, the Talmud. It says over there, he would make a circle, sit there. He would tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you don't bring rain, I'm not moving from here. I'm going to stay here until you bring rain. Come on. That's it. Can you imagine something like this? Until you bring rain, I'm not going to move. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu would always answer him. Whenever he would say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu used to do. This is unbelievable. Can you imagine a person like this, a tzaddik like this, who can ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for rain? If you don't bring rain, it's like a child, with his father, like, Abba, if you don't bring me, I'm not going to talk to you. That's it. I'm not going to talk to you. No more. If you don't bring me some toys, bring me a toy. Yeah, that's it. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm going to stay over here in my room. I won't even come out of my room. This is the way he was talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Can you imagine such a thing like this? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu was listening to him. Whatever he said, he was doing. This is incredible,
He was such a tzaddik?
Yeah, such a tzaddik like this. Can you imagine? This was Chonia Magel. So, it says right about this that there was at that time there was the big chacham was Shimon ben Shetach. He was a big chacham, the Gedol Ador of that generation. He was a nasi, I think also. He was a nasi, yeah. So he used to send him a letter, after this would happen. He heard that this happened, He would send a letter to Chonia Magel. He would tell him, he says, if you weren't Chonia Magel, I would put you in nidui, I would put you in shamata, I would excommunicate you. Why? Because you'll be having such chutzpah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, What kind of chutzpah is this, You talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like this. I'm not going to move until you bring rain. What is this? You're the boss or he's the boss? Who's the boss? Can you imagine such a thing like this? This is the way he used to talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Shimon ben Shetach told him, he says, you're really chayat ben nidui, because you're a chatzuf, you're a chutzpah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But he says, what can I do? I'm not going to make nidui on you. You know why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to whatever you say, whatever. I see that he listens to you. So what can I do? It's not my business. What is it my business? Whatever you say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu does for you. So it's like a child, who's asking his father, please Abba, buy me candy. He goes to the candy store, please buy me a chocolate bar, And Abba buys him, he loves his son, buys him a chocolate bar. This is the way it was. Can you imagine? Okay, so this is Chonia Magel, right? This was in the times of the Talmud. This was 2,000 years ago. Okay? Now what about in our generation, right? What's going on over here? So it says, right, the same thing with Baba Sali. There's a story like this. There's many stories about Baba Sali. There's, by the way, about the Nisim and Niflot that he did, there's many books written about this, That was written by Rav Mugrabi, who was my neighbor. Rav Mugrabi was the Shamash of Baba Sali. He was the Gabbai in the shul over there. Rav Mugrabi, and he also married the granddaughter of Baba Sali. He was married to the granddaughter of Baba Sali, the daughter of Baba Meir. So he saw everything, what Baba Sali did. He was there all the time, So he wrote like several books, 3-4 books, volumes, He used to give me, every time he would finish one, he would tell me, here, matana, right? He would give me, and all these books are what? Just about the nisim that Baba Sali did. That he saw himself with his own eyes. Can you imagine something like this? So there's one nest, I'll tell you, and I don't want to take you too long, right? We have to do Arvit. So there's one nest that, Maran Ravadia was showing. He told us about this. Incredible. Same thing like I just told you, right? Same thing. Maybe even better. What's the story? The story is, that one time, when Baba Sali came to Eretz Israel, he went back, to Morocco, and France. He used to go back there. He had some tikkunim to do over there, Tikkun. He used to leave and come back like this, go back and forth. This is the way he was. He had his own reasons, why he did all these things. What do we know about these things? The big tikkunim that he used to do, whatever it was. So what happened was that he went to Morocco, after he came to Eretz Israel. He went back there, and he went to a certain town over there, and there was no mikveh there in the town, no mikveh. Baruch Hashem, here we go park now, we have like 5 mikvahot, I think, or whatever, Baruch Hashem, we're doing pretty good. Yishtabach Shema, Baruch Hashem, it's very nice. So, what happened was that there was no mikveh. So he told, he went to the chachamim of the town, of the leaders of the town, gabayim, whatever. He went to them, he told them, he says, listen, you have to build a mikveh over here. The ladies, what are they going to do? How are they going to be with their husbands? No mikveh, what's going to be over here? It's going to be a big balagan. By the way, you should know that there's a halakha that if you have money for tzedakah, right, to give, doesn't matter whether it's $10 or $1 million, and there's a place where they don't have a mikveh there, it's a bigger mitzvah to give to the mikveh, for the mikveh, the tzedakah, than any other tzedakah. Number one tzedakah is the mikveh. Why is that? Because if you don't have a mikveh, Shem Yirachem, right? There's going to be B'nai Nida, coming to the world like this, there's going to be such a big sin like this, husband and wife being together without tahara. This is the biggest problem that there is. Nothing bigger. So what happened was he told them to build it. So they built it, they built a mikveh, like Baba Sali said. The problem was like this, okay? One problem, as we already mentioned, right? Morocco and Eretz Israel, they're very close together, right? Not too far. So just like Eretz Israel doesn't get any rain in the winter, same thing with Morocco. There's only rain in the summer over there. That's all there is. Labdil, right? That's all you get. So what happened was that when they finished building the mikveh, it was winter, so there's no rain, So what are you going to do with the mikveh? No rain. It's not worth nothing. You understand what I mean? So, by the way, there's a solution for that in halakha. You know what it is? There's a solution. Maybe over there in Morocco they weren't able to do this. The solution is like this. If you don't have water in your mikveh, what you do is, you can't bring water from the tap, from the sink. That's not kosher. You understand? So what you do is you bring ice, big blocks of ice. You dump them into the mikveh, and when it melts, that ice, that's kosher mikveh. Did you know this halakha? This is the halakha. It's incredible, You're allowed to do this way. So that's the way we do it today, If you have a mikveh with no water, we bring ice, big blocks, we put it in, it melts, kosher. Not kosher. Right? So that's the thing. Over there, they probably didn't have this, In Morocco. What are they doing in Morocco? They don't have nothing over there. So, Baba Sali, he saw there's a mikveh with no rain. So, you know what he did? When he went to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he went outside, and he says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he says, we built the mikveh, he says, you see, but he says, the problem is we don't have any rain. He says, please HaKadosh Baruch Hu, bring rain, so we can have the mikveh. So what happened was, right after he said the prayer, started to come rain, It was the middle of the winter over in Morocco. This was a nest, Miracle. Nes Gamur. So the rain came down, and it filled up the mikveh. Can you imagine? That filled up. So, okay, very good, right? Nest, Baruch Hashem, So, what happened was that afterwards he found out, Baba Sali, the next day they told him, they said, but you know what, the problem is like this. He says, the water didn't go down straight from the top into the mikveh. It rolled on the ground, first. It rolled, and then it went to the mikveh. So he realized, maybe there's a problem with this, because you know what it is, when the water is moving, it's already not kosher, like a river, Sometimes the river is not kosher, depending on the situation over there. If it's mostly rainwater or spring water, depends on the season. So what happened was, right, that they told him, they said, all the water rolled in from the ground. It didn't fall in from the roof. So he looked, on the poskim, to see if this is kosher. He was a chacham, by the way. Chacham. He was dayan in Morocco. He was abedin over there. He was a dayan. So what happened was, right, that he looked in the poskim. He saw that all the poskim, they say it's kosher, except one posek, right? Who was this? Rabbi Yudah Ayash, one of the big achronim, the Sfarim achronim. He writes that this mikveh is not kosher if the water rolled in on the ground like this into the mikveh. So you know what he said? Look what he says. Unbelievable, right? So Rabbi Sali, he was a big chassid, So even if there's one chacham who doesn't allow this, for him this was pasul, chassidut, So he goes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, The next day comes out. He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he says, you brought the rain, thank you very much, but he says, according to Rabbi Yudah Ayash, this is not kosher, this mikveh. So he says, do me a favor, bring another time, we're going to fill it up again. Bring another time rain, and this time we'll fill it up, from the roof. This way. So what happened was they emptied out all the water over there, and then again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought another rain, can you imagine? Second time. Why? Because he didn't like this one, this wasn't good for him. So he asked HaKadosh, again he made this HaKadosh Baruch Hu, came down again and filled up the mikveh. Can you imagine? This was the power of Baba Sali. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, amen, amen.